Hi everyone, I'm Pastor Dominick Scibetta from the Assembly of God in Center Moriches. When Pastor Sam and I first talked about this devotional series, I told him that a good title for it might be Strength for Today. It's a line from one of the well-known hymns of the Christian church, the hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness. The song was popularized in the 1950s and 60s by George Beverly Shea, who traveled and sang with the Billy Graham Crusades. But the song was written by a man named Thomas Chisholm, born in 1866 in Franklin, Kentucky. Chisholm lived a relatively ordinary life. He taught elementary school for a while, even though he himself had no formal education. He also edited the Franklin Advocate, his local hometown newspaper. At the age of 27, Chisholm became a Christian through the ministry of Henry Clay Morrison, the founder of Asbury College and Seminary in Wilmore, Kentucky. Thomas served as a Methodist pastor, but only for a very brief period of time because of his own bad health. He eventually moved to Vineland, New Jersey, where he sold insurance for a while, and then spent his final years in a Methodist retirement community in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. Looking over the details of his story, we would probably conclude that Chisholm's life overall was unremarkable. But if the words of this hymn he wrote are any indication at all of his relationship with God, then his life was only unremarkable outwardly and when judged by human and worldly standards. Listen to the lyrics he wrote. Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not. Thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow, blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. There are other hymns of the church that have much more interesting backstories than this one. There's Amazing Grace, written by John Newton, a former slave trader and sea captain who wrote those lyrics out of personal experience. There's also the hymn, It Is Well With My Soul, written by Horatio Spafford after losing all 4 of his daughters to a shipwreck at sea. By contrast, one author describes Chisholm Song as a hymn for ordinary Christians, people who have had neither great successes or great failures. People who just put one foot in front of the other each day, believing, like David and Job, that he knows the way that I take because he is faithfully ordering my steps. I remember as a young Christian, when I was just a teenager, we would often have evangelists come to our church or guest speakers from Teen Challenge. And they would often have truly sensational testimonies that would keep us right on the edge of our seats. The thing is, after they left, I would sometimes feel a sense of inferiority because I knew I would never have such a dramatic and thrilling testimony. My life was never going to become a made-for-TV movie about restoration and redemption. I never did drugs. I never even smoked a cigarette. I was never abused by my parents or by any of the members of my family. The first time I had sex was on my wedding night, and the only person I've ever been intimate with is my wife. Just last week, I answered a series of questions in a Facebook game that I copied and pasted from my sister. One of the questions was, have you ever been handcuffed? And I answered no. But in one of the comments, someone asked, are you sure you've never been handcuffed? Because, who could possibly be that boring and unremarkable? And there was one point in my life where all of this was really beginning to bother me until a very wise young evangelist took me aside and said, you know what? You have one of the best testimonies of all of us. Because yours is a testimony of God's great faithfulness in keeping you over all of these years from those traps and snares of sin into which so many of us have stumbled. Your testimony is not only that God is able to save to the uttermost those who come to him by faith in Christ. Yours is also the testimony of Jude 1, verse 24, that God is able to keep you from falling and to present you before his glorious presence without fault and with great joy. And that's when it dawned on me that it was truly a blessing to have a testimony that was far less about all the salacious details of my past, of which there really weren't any, and far more a testimony about God's grace and mercy and great faithfulness over the length of an entire life. The prophet Jeremiah says, because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. See, even in ordinary circumstances, we can learn extraordinary things about our God and experience what Thomas Chisholm did, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow, blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.